I've already made a good amount of videos covering the fake death of David Bowie. I'm going to play this clip by Angela Bowie. But first off, before I do, getting back to who I believe is David Bowie, let me make something perfectly clear. This is supposedly Jack Stephen a day after David Bowie passed away doing an interview on Sky News. Just so happens to look just like David Bowie. A day after they interview this man. Like I covered before, here's the issue. This is supposedly the real Jack Stephen doing an interview in Texas in the United States. And here's Jack Stephen, the one being interviewed in the UK on Sky News. They do not match. So if you believe this is David Bowie or not, well, he's definitely not Jack Stephen. Like I said, I do believe these two are one and the same, 100%. I'm going to finish off this video and play my previous video making the comparisons between Jack Stephen and who I believe is really David Bowie. Now, before playing the clip of David Bowie's ex-wife, I totally believe she was put up to this. She's on TV. She's been, working with the so-called elite behind the scenes for a very long time. Just like everybody else on TV. They're just basically puppets on a string. And she knows David Bowie is not dead. And this is a form of mockery. This is about creating a debate. If he's really alive or if he's dead. And of course he's really alive. TV news, what you see on TV, is nothing more than a movie. People really die in life. Just because you see people die in a movie, it doesn't mean they're really dead. Take a listen to what she says. And she says this again as a form of mockery. Just like so many past stories with supposed deaths like of Elvis Presley. They want to keep this controversy alive. Something about the elite, the so-called elite, loving to basically rub in their power and create these basically divide and conquer stories by putting people like this on TV and having them say these lines. 100% she was put up to this. Just take a listen.
Okay, well, did it sink in immediately?
No, it didn't sink in immediately, but I must be honest, I didn't actually think they'd sink that low.
Yeah. She didn't actually think they'd sink that low. Does not look like someone that's grieving. Of course not. David Bowie is alive and well. Now take a listen to what she says here. And this is telling, of course, again, as a form of mockery. Nothing makes it on TV without the approval of those that control it. Take a listen.
Let me take this opportunity to say that I think he staged his passing rather well.
Very staged in the way she's speaking, like an actress. That's all they give us. It's fake, phony stories with these fakes and phony that are playing a role on the world stage. That's all we have. It's nothing but endless lies. And that's all they give us. Reminds me of that song by Genesis, The Land of Confusion. And that's why they do it. People can't see what's taking place with this deception. And they're baiting it with things like this. Keeping it all alive. Keeping that controversy alive. Well, David Bowie sits back, who knows where, and laughs at this all. Probably maybe drinking a margarita or something else on a beach in Jamaica or who knows where else. But no doubt, David Bowie is alive and well. And now I'm going to play my previous video making the comparison to supposed Jack Stephen, again who I believe is David Bowie, in the Sky News studio the day after the supposed passing of David Bowie. Showing that David Bowie is alive and well, playing the character of Jack Stephen, a supposed music industry executive with Fortress Music. I received a few messages from people stating there is a Jack Stephen on VMO. Let's compare the two. One thing I noticed right away, the teeth are not the same. I'm going to break this down a little bit here. Then I'm going to play the clips with David Bowie speaking and Jack Stephen, the supposed Jack Stephen from a few years back. Let's take a look at this image here. And this is the Jack Stephen from VMO in that video I'm going to show in a bit. But let's take a look at David Bowie and his teeth here. And that smile. You see no gap whatsoever in these teeth. And look at Jack Stephen, or supposed Jack Stephen, who's nothing more than David Bowie. No gap whatsoever. Unbelievable. I'm going to play some video clips again with Jack Stephen speaking. You can clearly see that gap. I got a little bit of a close-up. You can definitely tell that this character Jack Stephen, and David Bowie's playing that character Jack Stephen. And who knows what happened to the real Jack Stephen, but nonetheless, David Bowie is alive and well, and he showed up on Sky News playing the character Jack Stephen.
I've been asked here, as a complete outsider, to talk about Dallas's music scene. I have to stress that I am here on vacation, and I'm spending a lot of time in Dallas because I have a girlfriend here who I've fallen in love with at my grand old age of 53. Girlfriend here who I've fallen in love with at my grand old age of 53. Friend here who I've fallen in love with at my grand old age of 53.
First, sum up how you felt this morning when you heard this news.
I was just saying earlier that I actually felt that part of me had died. I mean, I have to say that's how much an influence he is, I think, to me and to thousands and millions of people around the world. And strangely, I'm surprised. I sort of lived through John Lennon's death, Elvis's death, and sadly, this one's affected me more than any other. I mean, it's a very strange thing.